Hello, all you marvellous folks. Flax here, flaxformersphotos, and I hold, in the palm of my hand, my collection. Not really, it's over there. But hey, I am back, reunited with all these boys. My gorgeous print from @OWR Photos. Love that. And yes, I'm in my dressing gown. Uni life is hard. It's cold in these streets. Well, in this house. I was going to do an unboxing of this, but I've realised I haven't done a review in ages, so without further ado, here is SS86 Grimlock and Wheelie, if you can count it. We'll get onto that in a second. And this man, he is one big beast. I think that's the first thing that hit me with him, and it was what I was expecting to be the first thing. It's just how big he is. We'll get some size comparisons going in a moment. And hey, why not compare him to the whole collection while we're here? Not without his issues, I've found, but to be fair, they are all very, very minor. There are no actual problems so far with this figure. Starting off, he's just looking amazing. We're actually going to compare him to the Power of the Primes to begin with, just because I think that's going to be the best way to examine all the details, you know, in comparison with something inferior. So this is what everyone was interested in from the start. It was certainly what I was most interested in, was seeing the difference. And man, see for yourself. Quite similar, because I know it's the same character, obviously, but also a number of differences, especially once we get into the transformation. This one has the more, is it cartoon accurate, red eyes? Whilst this guy has these gorgeous metallic baby blues. Reminds me a lot of the Armoured Lost Predator and his armour. But T-Rex mode is the same, we've got the red eyes and the baby blues. And even messing with this guy now is, well, exactly that, a mess. Ugh, just not fun. Yuck! But for some more comparisons, we've got the kind of G1 homage stickers on the Power of the Primes here, which I did think was kind of cool when this was the only affordable Grimlock figure that I knew of, and then this guy was revealed a few months after I got this guy from some random website for a really good price, actually, to be fair, which is why I'm not that mad. But Grimlock here has the classic RGB, not in that particular order. I have to admit, when I got back into collecting, it was because of this game. It really kind of familiarised me with the G1 designs, which I didn't know much about because I know that makes me sound like a fake fan, but I grew up with the Unicron trilogy. Hotshot and Red Alert are not really that prevalent in G1, especially not in the forms that they came in. Cyclonus, for instance, you know, completely different character, basically. Not even basically, but below Sideswipe, Grimlock was my go-to. Gotta love a T-Rex, and he was the only one other than Optimus who could use the big power weapons like hammers and axes. He's just straight out of Devastation. I know he's meant to be from the '86 movie, but man, I just see my Devastation main when I look at this guy. Here we run into one of the, not problems, it's obviously a good thing, but these are incredibly tight ball joints. I would recommend moving them from as close to the ball joint as possible, even though you're not going to get the leverage. I wouldn't want to do it from here because you will snap them at the elbow. Much better than these little sticks. Naturally, big improvement. This one comes with his double-barreled blaster. This one came with some stupid big stompy feet for Volcanicus and nothing else. Really, you have to get into the articulation and transformation to properly appreciate just how much of an improvement this guy is over the Power of the Primes. I think the best place to start is with this guy's weird chunky legs with a barely perceptible slope to the ankles, but either way, it's like he's doing that thing where he's lifting both feet off the ground. SS86 though. Arms actually work surprisingly similar to the old one. He has ratchets, very nice, very nice. Bicep is basically in the same place, except it locks. But the ratchets, pathetic kind of dead area in them. That's not the ratchet, this is. But then it moves, oh, that was the ratchet, but it moves that much between clicks. Forward and back, so nasty. SS86. Click. Perfect. Just looking around the back again briefly, both have the wings and dino head. I do prefer this guy's massive wings, and you can make him into an angel if you want to, which you know, you couldn't do on this one. So, but he does not have the biker mice from Mars head on his ass like this one does. If anyone gets that reference, you are solid. More solid than his waist anyway. So let's get into transformation. I will not be showing you how to do it because these figures do come with instructions, but I will be discussing a little part of it which was not that clear in the instructions. So let's just get into it. The transformation actually does happen to be where most of my problems with this guy lie, but this is the bit I was talking about. When you bend his knees backwards, you're going to want to take these two tabs, well, one on each knee, out of these little pincers in the front of the shin. But then, this wasn't too clear to me in the instructions. There's a little kind of axle back in here that you're going to want to shift this black bit along. I'm not really going to be able to show it very well, but also proving quite hard to do and show you because it will now also not bend forward anymore once it's shifted into the right place. This is to allow it to curve all the way back round 180 to end up, you can see where it's going. The head's going to be there and it's going to come back to the tail this away. Second problem I will just show you now because it's going to be easier than when he's in dyno mode. These two tabs, there is one up in between the tips of his toes and down here in between what is the shins in robot mode. Don't tab in at all. They do, now they're on camera, but this top one, literally, it's just not even a tab, it's just two bits of plastic rubbing up against each other. It can be held in place by his gun when you put the two tabs on it into these two little notches here, but then the T-Rex has to have the gun on the back of it. I don't know if this is just my copy or intentional, but it does all close up in robot mode, but from certain angles you can tell there is gappage there. This tab at the tip of the tail here and the bottom of the shins, however, very, very nice indeed. Sturdy. And before I forget, just for turning him back into a robot, instead of trying to pull on these bits of plastic or getting a screwdriver in there, because these are quite thin, I think you'll snap them if you get it too many times, you want to push on this part, which should hopefully release the tab inside the wrist. This one is much looser, as you can see, very easy to do. The other one is slightly tighter, which is why I had to try and get something in there in the first place. But you do it and it will eventually pop out without stressing any of the plastic too much. When folding these wings around, please do remember that you can hinge them this way to allow for the clearance and then fold them back. And there, my friends, we have, what are you doing? The T-Rex mode. This is a big, chunky boy, exactly how I remember him from Devastation, because that's where I've seen Grimlock the most, personally. This is gorgeous. I'm loving the kind of... The paint is like matte with a gloss over it. It looks really nice and clean. These cool talons down here. One of them, quite a lot looser than the other one. Tighten that up and see if it does anything. That did not do anything. I'm just going to strip the peg if I try and do that anymore. One weird thing, no teeth at the front really does make him look a bit gummy, especially if he's got his mouth wide open from a low angle. It really just looks, oh, hello! Which is a shame because, as people pointed out, even the Power of the Primes version has teeth at the front. I do feel bad ending on a bum note, but this guy is very disappointing. What even is the point? It's just so weird. I know it's from the movie, I know, but like, can we please just not... We never win... This is the definitive Grimlock, and that's what I'm going to say right now. You know, spoilers for the end of the review. But compare it to even the Masterpiece. He comes with his gun. He looks great in both modes. He ain't come with a sword because he comes with a stupid little half-articulated robot. I mean, what is this man? The best thing he can do is dab. He's painted well enough. He does have really gorgeous metallic blue eyes, just like Grimlock does. You are not really going to be able to see them, but in the packet even, those are what stood out to me. They look almost glittery in some lights. Just an insult, really. If he is only posable into one specific pose, which is him sitting on Grimlock with the slingshot drawn, because what are you going to do? Stand him up like this and make him look like he wheelie needs to go to the toilet the whole time? If this guy was fully articulated, you know, had the same ball joints in both arms, I'm even okay with one of them having the weird version, like this one can move out and spin round and do a 360, but this one can only do a 360 and move inwards like that. It can't move out that way. I'd even be fine with them keeping it like that, as long as you put a hinge in each elbow and each knee. It's not hard. It would have made him an actually cool little articulatable figure, but right now Might as well have just been a statue in this pose, and I wheelie don't want him anymore. For a little bit of Jurassic Park action going on, I thought I'd get him with Hound's Jeep mode. I know this is a really niche comparison, but I think it looks kind of cool, and if you do own Hound, wow, this is a pretty good indication of how beefy Grimmy is. The more I transform this guy, the more I wonder if I've actually done all of the steps, because it is, for how big he is, actually really intuitive and almost simple, but in a good way, in the sense that it's not frustrating, very easy, and you get 2 great modes out of it. This is another big problem. The chest comes untabbed, not easily, but if you're messing with the arms, it gives you enough leverage to just... Also, just realised, unpainted back here. What's that about? But yeah, not really sure how to describe the arms, other than that's not really the way an elbow works, and it's a bit of a problem. I think it's also the fact that the way the elbow bends there means that the upper arm is way longer than the forearm, which is not how a human, I guess he's not human, but not how a proportional body works. Kind of plays into the character, kind of looks weird. Either way, something again is worth pointing out. Size comparisons now though. Long have I waited to compare this guy to Commander class Jetfire and have this guy back in my hands. As you can see, he's not half the height he looks it. Oh my goodness, those ratchets up to above Jetfire's elbow. By the way, in person, you're not actually going to feel a huge difference. The camera is making this look way worse than it actually is. Grimlock still feels like a very big figure. Here is Earthrise Prime, just for some War Within rivalry action. And as you can see, this guy's leader class as well. Funny how that works. And finally here he is next to my True Devastation main and your standard deluxe class, Siege Sideswipe. As you can see, he does tower over a lot of figures. He is basically twice the height of a standard deluxe, which is awesome to see, considering this man was barely deluxe himself. Overall though, do not let my gripes put you off this figure. He Grimlock King. I haven't said it yet, but the head sculpt is beautiful. The whole figure is just really chunky and has such a presence, which is amazing. The blaster is probably one of my favourite accessories in the last year or so I've had of collecting. And Wheelie, probably my least favourite. Would have much preferred if he came with a sword. At the moment you kind of have to use, I guess, Siege Megatrons if you had it. I don't think Nemesis Primes is going to be big enough. Hooray! More expensive third-party 3D printed options required to complete this guy. And it's like I keep saying, if Hasbro could go the extra mile, they never will. I guess they thought they were with this, but who would have been disappointed if Wheelie wasn't included? I can't wait to get some shots with this guy. It's amazing being back with the collection, so expect a stream of Transformers content from now on. Pick this guy up if you have the chance. He is the definitive Grimlock. I hope you all have a great rest of the day.